What's up, Fortnite fam? Welcome back to the Fortnite Champion Series Grand Finals. It's your boy, Zeke. And joining us here on the analyst desk, we've got Sundown, we've got Shy Wager, and in a moment, we will have some games. If you missed out and you're watching from Party Royale, first of all, hello. Happy to be here with you. Don't forget to use your favorite emotes. Throw the grenades around, the tomatoes, the likes. Have a great time. Now, if you missed EU, though, we'll recap you very quickly. Tayson did find himself the Axe of Champions, walking away with the $80,000 and being crowned the FNCS champion over on the PC track. And Flame did the same over on the console track. So again, congrats to both players. But now, Sundown, we gear up as we prepare for NA East.
And NA East is what it's all about. The top 100 players battling to get to this point. They advanced yesterday by being top 25 in their heat, and now they're going to try and claim the Axe of Champions for, I would argue, is one of the most competitive regions in Fortnite, just right behind EU.
Yeah, if you were thinking that there were hot personalities ready to just take everyone down on the map, NA East is even that much more competitive, in my opinion, when it comes to people battling for drop spots, battling for the, having that ego to be able to hold off their zone, basically, both early, middle, and end game. I'm just excited to see how this will break down and what happens in game number 1.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. Very quickly, let's talk about the tournament itself, starting off with the tournament format. Now, yesterday we did come out of heats 1 through 4, and today we find ourselves in the grand finals. After 6 matches, one FNCS champion will be crowned, and as you guys have kind of stated, this is the very cream of the crop. Like, NA East is absolutely going to bring the fire. We do traditionally see a little bit of a slower start, but I think it'll pick up. What do you think, Sundown?
Generally, particularly in the first couple games, NA East versus Europe, NA East is a little bit more passive. You'll see the initial fights off of the drops where each one of those eliminations is worth 1 point, is capped at 20, but have yet to see that cap come into play. However, most people in NA East are going to be looking to buckle in and hit that first round of placement points at top 75 before anything, and really try and make sure they get at least to the half-in, half-out zone in the late game, because that's where they're going to prioritize.
Yeah, late game is where NA East is slightly different from every other region, because what I end up seeing every time is clutch plays. The guy who's supposed to win gets overturned in almost every single game, and the format is alluded to that every single time. People are going for eliminations. They're hiding out all the way until the top 10. That's when the points start to get serious, as Sundown mentioned, and it's all about that format. It's all about trying to win.
And the question is, what do they win for taking home that number 1 spot? $50,000, the clout that comes along with it, the title of FNCS champion, and the Axe of Champions that they will be able to hold for the remainder of the season till the next FNCS. A lot of prize money, though, still on the line for every single person who does and has made it this far. Now, of course, placing top 5 is where you'd like to aim, right, Sundown?
I mean, why not aim for top 1, Zeke? $50,000 in the Axe of Champions sounds great for me. But as you talked about, kind of, as you look in the bumps of the pay grades, top 5 definitely helping out there. Top 25, top 50, and top 100 will also have different ones we end up going through. But noticing how every placement in the top 10 is a change in payment, which means those late game moments in every single interaction is so incredibly close, as we've seen across the board.
Yeah, speaking across the board, here's a look at your finals prize pool across the board. We did see that $800,000 available up for EU earlier on in the day, or wherever your time zone might be, but now we are here in NA East. Every other region does, of course, have something to walk away with, but yeah, we're getting ready to hop into games. Very quickly, though, guys, I want to take a moment to talk about my favorite thing in the world, Batman. Genius comes in many forms. Whether you're dangerously funny, creating havoc with wild plans, or flooding the island with your best intentions, it often comes along with a companion, madness. Become everyone's nemesis with the Last Laugh bundle, featuring the Joker, Poison Ivy, Midas Rex, matching cosmetics, and 1,000 V-Bucks. You can pre-order the bundle through your favorite retailers, and it will be available on November 17th, so definitely check out the blog for all the details. And if you can't wait for more DC characters, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and my personal favorite Batman will be back in the item shop for a limited time. Get their cosmetic sets before they disappear into the night. And of course, as always, Joyride has hit the game, but we will not be seeing vehicles in competitive play, so don't expect to see anybody doing anything crazy with those. Now, guys, we have to shift gears here and start talking about NA East. What have we seen? We've seen 4 heats, we've seen 4 winners, and now we're going to be taking a look and diving into the 100 players that will be joining us here. There's a lot of big names here. People like World Cup champion Booga, for example, just to name one of the 100.
I mean, that's an easy one to name right off of the bat. We've talked about him so much, but let's talk about the person who's in first place there, Energy Clicks, one of the few remaining players, and I believe the only one out of NA East who has qualified for literally everything since the Solo World Cup. Every FNCS final, every single World Cup, both solo and duos, he's made it there. He's able to contest towards the top. But you also have some of that Latin American invasion with P-God and Jelty pushing their way up top, and they've been playing phenomenal recently.
Yeah, you're talking about old versus new people coming right through. Everyone still has that history, but now those histories are starting to clash, right? Looking at Nanolite as well, who's such a good solo player, but fell off a little bit after one of those DreamHack performances, is now starting to rise straight back up. Liquid Gabe is also a cool name to pick up from the get-go. NRG Ronaldo, another NRG player who's usually watching all the people play it out, is in the fray this time, looking for his own chances to win.
Yeah, you know, he'll still be screaming in that microphone regardless if he's playing or doing a viewing party. But you also have Calc, who took the #1 spot yesterday in his heat, coming out there, as well as Stretch pushing through here. Vanish, Bully, and Sid, some players who have also capitalized. Have the veteran Lunez picking up in there as well, somebody who's returned recently, been able to have a good performance. But you mentioned the new guard, and Pure Skittles has been among it with some amazing mid and late game runs and conversions that he's then turned over into just huge point performances.
Yeah, Skittles ended up winning out his qualifier day. After that, went straight through those heats. Past that, though, we have Crims, Frat, two guys who are really keen on playing and practicing with each other, now have to face off from opposite sides of the map. Glace, the Uzi Wins, Degen are some fan favorites who have these smaller communities but have such a push behind them to come and win. And if you're talking about communities, you cannot forget Colazo, you can't forget Kaz, Kanata, these guys who are so keen on showing that they still have solo prowess. Their drops are good, their end game is good, and honestly with all these names, I'm just not sure who really has the advantage here to win today.
Yeah, you can see the veteran reverse 2K on that board as well. And we flip over to the last page. Booga, Blake, Hypnos, Lem, who had a great performance that we saw yesterday. Zentil also picking up a dub in heat #3 there. Rox ended up with a phenomenal performance towards the back half, so should be running in on confidence. And also one quick little underlying storyline, just a little personal rivalry between teammates and to keep an eye on here. Calc and Macwood are contending back and forth to have the #1 amount of earnings between them when it comes to NA East online play. And they've kind of put it up. He's like, hey, by the way, today I'm taking back that spot because Zexro, who is also in that top 3 and plays with them, is falling out. He's not here. He's not contending in the final. Didn't have a bandage to save him this time. Didn't get that clutch run that he really needed. And these two are going to be competing back and forth to try and dethrone each other. So when we mean every little interaction matters, that's what we talk about. Sometimes it's not about first. It's just about beating that person next to you.
Yeah, there's an overall format that we saw and broke down before, but then there are all these personal stories that we will be highlighting. The casters will be pointing out between so many players. There's 100, as you said, Zeke, and it's so much to kind of take in and take account for.
Yeah, for sure. And perhaps if you're new, watching for the first time, we've got 4 winners for you that have come out of the heats in the past. It could just be some very quick eyes to keep, watching as we move through the games here. So, Sundown, why don't I toss this over to you?
Yeah, so we're going to hop on board here. This is some of the recap of action that has gone through, and we're going to talk about some of the fan favorites and the one we've gone on. And let's go to 2 different sides of. So first, P-God, a.k.a. Peruvian God, who has probably the strongest presence when it comes to people in the chat. Can I get a Bible thump in the chat right now? Your favorite emote if you're watching in Party Royale for Mr. P-God, because we've seen his fans all over the place. And the thing is, he's been one of the few players in NA East who is able to enact consistent aggression. That means he's looking to take fights, and he's not afraid to trade out with players at all stages of the game. And you see a great late game run there, and that's something he does very well. He's not content to just get that one elimination and then box up. He's looking to chain them into more, and when he's able to do that successfully, it ends up on going on some of these crazy runs where you don't think that really shouldn't be possible, right? There's no way he should win this game, right, in this situation, and yet all of a sudden, vamos P-God.
Yeah, he literally gets his name into so many other people's sightlines and stories. Always say he's the man that plays with 20 item slots because he has so many eliminations per game. But on the other side of things, a man looking for control, stretch, is always one who has a game plan that he sticks to that works out. He's always dominating lobbies completely. And if Peacock is looking for trades, Stretch is looking to end fights fast and make sure that every trade is absolutely silent. He always has an advantage when he's rolling into boxes, whether that's position or anything else, and he barely even takes any damage when he's going for these fights. If he's on the back end in late games too, he has a contingency plan. He has these hidden positions that he activates, that he just uses every time, an ace up his sleeve, and he gets these eliminations. He gets power weapons that he doesn't have to loot, just pick up, and then he ends up winning out games from that slot.
And one thing I want to note about in particular that we're starting to see from the very, very top players when it comes to closing out these games or being in these final situations is it's kind of a term, it's not really something we refer to a lot, but it's a no build skill. It's when you're out of builds, you don't have all that utility, and you're just stuck to your raw gun skill, movement, and what's on the map around you. And there's very few players who are able to kind of separate themselves and put themselves in a category where it's like, hey, you play really well in this circumstance. Stretch is 110% one of them. I would say Mongrel is another one who you can put in anytime he's out of builds. You don't really ever count him out of it.
There's a guy named Not Builds who's playing today, so maybe he is the mastermind behind this entire game strategy and plan. I hope that he brings that to fray. If he's an end game, maybe that's what's happening, but who knows?
Guys, as we get ready to hop into these games, I mean, what do you think we can expect? Now, out of EU, it was a long time. We thought it was all set. And then Tayson shows up, drops this massive game, and game 5, and then holds on. Do you guys think we could see that in NA East just based on the way they played? Do you think we're going to see a little bit of a change-up? Maybe someone comes out and then just, leaves everyone in the dust? What do you guys think? Sun, I'll start with you.
So we've kind of talked about how the pacing of a 6-game tournament plays out. After the first game, who's able to really separate themselves, or is it a couple players who got 5 and 6 eliminations and then someone was able to convert? Then you really can kind of tell the shape of the game, or the shape of the tournament itself after games number 2 and 3. And in Europe in particular, while we saw that there was a little bit of a lead, it was never more than 4 eliminations until Tayson capitalized. So what that means, in my opinion, is we're waiting for somebody to put a stamp on this tournament and then seeing how everyone else reacts. And I think NA East is ripe for that, particularly because it doesn't feel like there's been a definitive favorite to really step up to the plate and say, like, this is my region and I can drop that 10, 11, 12-point victory royale when it matters.
There is no definitive favorite. I agree with that, but I feel like there still is a pattern in NA East. You guys notice on the map, at the bottom side, there's these mountains. In the middle, it's natural low ground, and near the top, there's a lot of water. For NA East, I think it's the zones, and what zones we see repeated throughout these 6 games. There are certain players that are very good at winning out natural low ground consistently, like Calculator, right? BBG Calc. But there's other players too when the zone starts to get high, Liquid Stretch. He's very good at taking games back to back to back, depending on where the map is going. If it's on their drop spot, if the Shockwave launcher is a little bit better when it comes to mountains versus natural low ground. So for NA East, I think it'll depend on where these end games actually end up ending.
Okay, all right. We'll have to see how things go. Let's take a look at some of the winners from the past. Now, kind of add to this and, kind of tie all of these things together. We've also seen those mythic weapons play a very big role in some of this. And over in OCE, we had the winner, Jinxie Fishy, holding down this title. 75 points, boys. I mean, Sundown, this is massive.
I think the bigger thing is the average placement going through for him, and then we flip on over there to see Fram number 1, 47 points. And the story in Asia was the 3-way tie at the top that got broken, not by victory royales, but the average eliminations, with Fram just barely edging over the top, just showing how close that region really was. Then over to Middle East, you have Cash Cup Warrior, a.k.a. ASMR Spire Frog, picking that one up there. 62 points, the victory royale, 15 eliminations, and an average placement just outside the top 20.
Yeah, I'm going to say that he needs to change his name to FNCS Winner or Warrior if he wants to, but really good run for him over there on the Middle East. For these three regions that we just saw the winners of, it was really, really close on all ends the whole time through, but we've been talking about it for Tayson. He was behind the pack the whole time. Winning out Europe was no easy feat. Comes through all the way from Game 5 and holds things up near the top. I think it was a 12 elimination finish that he had overall, and it was absolutely insane what he pulled off.
Man, guys, guess what time it is? Time to start things off here in NA East. So for now, let's send it over to our flight captains, Monster D-Face and Aussie Antics, as they prep us for our descent onto the island.
Thank you so very much, Zeke, and here we have it. It's all come down to this. It's the FNCS Grand Finals. Game number 1's just about to be on their way. Monster D-Face here, Aussie Antics. I am so excited for the games that are going to unfold. The roster is ridiculous.
It is absolutely stacked, and we're not going to hold it back any longer. We're going to jump straight into Game 1 of the NA East FNCS Solo Grand Finals. Monster, just how excited are you for this one?
Absolutely. I'm at peak. I'm at the pinnacle here, and it's the battle bus that is underway. And take a look. Here's the nice spread across the map, how your players are spreading across. Now, let's keep in mind, guys, after all is said and done, one player is going to take home that Axe of Champion. Only one player in the region will be able to wield it. And I'm already noticing that P-God over in Holly Hedges has someone contest, and I love that the camera shot was panning this way because this is going to be one of the most exciting players, one of the most exciting early gauge engagements that we are going to want to follow right now. How is P-God going to be able to perform today? Are we going to get the P-God that is going to go crazy every single game and carry it through? Or are we going to get the P-God that has to clutch up towards the tail ends to pick up the big points? That's going to be the name of the game for P-God today. But today, he is contested here by Chimp.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. He did so well in the qualifiers when he was contested, and yesterday when he wasn't, he did well but didn't do as well. So I'm not too worried for him here. When we're talking about Storm Surge, talking about these insanely stacked lobbies, sometimes being contested isn't so bad if you're someone as good as P-God at closing it out, which he starts off with a really nice 46 tag, waiting behind that bush. He knows this drop spot so well. He's had it on lockdown for weeks upon weeks. Gets the crash pad in. This is someone who has won a qualifying week from home. If you are just tuning in, you haven't been following NA East, so this is a very big engagement off the bat. If P-God goes down here, it would be a large upset to kick off NA East, and that's why we love NA East so much, Monster. It is always, every single fight is so important.
And you're noticing those chug splashes go off here, so P-God knows the player is already healed back up from the distance that he started. He's going to land a big charge pump shot to kick this off. It's going to go in his favor. Now looking for the control of the walls. And you have to think the enemy he's fighting is probably running out of builds here. This has been a bit drawn out for early game engagement. And yes, another big follow-up. Can he get one more? Oof, that was way closer than what it needed to be. But P-God with a single point to kick off the competition.
Yeah, it just shows the confidence. You love to see this out of P-God coming out game 1, not scared to take the fight. He set up for it. He wasn't over-aggressive. He was smart with how he engaged, but you knew he backed himself to win that one. And P-God putting himself on the board very early, and maybe that drop play might even change. They might not go Holly Hedges next game. We'll have to see as Avery gets into a fight here as well. Just down near the rig, down on the south side near Slurpee Swamps, gets the tax shots in and takes him down. Heater falling here to Avery, 1 point on the board as well. So we've already seen 2 of the 4 players going down here. So still staying pretty stacked, but we're getting the action.
Let's not forget, Avery has just been outside the top 10 on the week-to-week qualifiers, his best being 11th throughout the course of the competition and lead-up. So someone to keep your eye out on that maybe hasn't been at the top, but could be knocking on that door. We'll see. Spike, on the other hand, has a lot to prove here as well, as an up-and-comer on the scene, just rotating outside of retail row. Looking for the big snipe shot, going down range, not going to find it that time, but he's telling everyone he's well and aware and ready to do the do here. I'm looking at the map there. It looks like there's another player nearby. His loot's not looking too great. Yes, he's going to have to farm up and get situated here.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to maybe even try and find a pack of Marauders. Maybe very high chance of them spawning around here, being sent to map. Or can he land that sniper shot? He can. Zentil falls. I was just about to say Spike either has to land a hunting rifle shot or find some Marauders, because 2 chug splashes going into this part of the game where there's not much loot to offer, but there's a lot of loot to offer there from Zentil now.
Just like that, that's going to be 1 down. Another point swinging in the favor. Here's Cody from Team Timbers. We talk about these this Latin community, Hispanics stepping up to the plate, and Cody's got, oh my gosh, he's got the mythic loot. He's got the caddy's corner on lock here. All of Kit's mythic weapons and arsenal in his loadout, and the Vault key card to play with it. Whoever was defending this place off, you can see, though, according to the mini-map there, they've rotated out. So Cody is off to a very, very dominant start. This is looking super favorable for him right now, as he's going to be able to gain access to the loot. Let's see what goodies are going to lie inside. You have to only assume that he's going to be completely capped off, and this might be a game that is going to go in his favor. Hold up now, though.
Yeah, last time we saw Cody coming out of caddy corners with all the loot, he did end up winning the game. And this is someone who's been dropping caddy corners every single game of every qualifier of everything he's played in. You see some people kind of testing the waters, knowing how strong that mythic loot is, but then wanting the consistency so they don't go back there. Cody has been dropping there the whole time. No one has more experience at this drop than Cody. And if you are tuning in from home and you tuned into the heats, there was a bit of drama around this drop spot, as Zayt did not qualify for grand finals because this drop was too heavily contested. So I think it would have been a big shake-up for Cody if Zayt was in contention today, but Cody having it between him and one other player, he's got a very good chance to walk away with that loot consistently, so someone to 100% look out for.
Do agree, and here's a little info bit right there for you. Booga, Kaz, Stretch Crims, Kanata, Clicks, Calc have all competed in every single FNCS.
Wow.
And let's not forget, Booga's on fire yesterday, coming in 6th for his heat, coming out of NA East heat number 4. So things were cooking for the champ here himself, and he's looking to continue his stride through solos, as is Cody. I mean, Cody came 3rd in his heats. I know we're just talking about him, but it just shows you we're looking at some of the hottest players on the market right now, hottest players on the scene here, and they're continuing to carry the torch. Let's see, though, Booga looking for some early tags. We know this is the thing about NA East. It is going to be packed, right? From the top to the bottom, every zone, we're going to expect loads and loads of players to stay alive. There are still 95 players in the game, Ozzy, and the first zone is only halfway through closing. That means of all the fights so far, we've literally captured about 3 of them on broadcast. We are literally seeing all of the action right now because of how intense it is on the NA East region.
Yeah, NA East, they know how to play their games. They know how to play stack lobbies, and we're going to see who can manage their Storm Surge. And that's why I was so excited to see P-God come out swinging, because a lot of people start off their first game a little bit scared, just maybe the nerves getting to them. They kind of want to play slow, play safe, just kind of play it easy. So P-God coming out swinging was big for him, and he's got his Storm Surge tags on the map, as Jaith kind of making a really nice little metal base for himself, has the mythic grappler gun as well. A lot of the conversation always kind of falling around Kit's mythic charged shotgun and shockwave launcher, but you really can't count the grappler gun out. See someone who's been performing really well with it. Unfortunately, I don't believe making finals here today, so Jaith got his hands on that one out of the 3 people that looks like they're dropping here, and he's going to have to find his tags, though. If they haven't fought down below, he also has no shotgun, so I'm not really sure how that's going to play out for him.
And I mean, he's pulling a cease here, nice and early, high in the sky here at the Authority, looking for those early tags to play into his favor. What I do like about Jaith in recent times, that he's just been on the up and up, consistently entering himself into tournament after tournament, Cash Cup after Cash Cup, even now qualifying for the grand finals here in the heats, and slowly but surely stepping his way up, stepping up his placements. So how is he going to perform on the largest setting, on the biggest stage here, on the biggest screen here, in front of all the community figures in the Fortnite scene here now, though? I'm speechless by Stretch, who has got me thrown off right now. He's in the center map, making a rotate for center zone, and he's around
good.
So many players.
He's got the loadout, though, as well. 4 floppers, something I'm not used to seeing Stretch have too much of. Dropping out a Misty Meadow, so maybe he had the time with his zone being a little bit closer to kind of fish up. He didn't have a really strong performance yesterday in his heat, but we talked about it a lot on that broadcast. He got really, really unfortunate zones. All first 4 zones pulled north, and so that kind of caused a bit of issues for Stretch. The last 2 zones pulling south, I think he averaged almost a top 10 in those 2 games where he finally got good zones. So Stretch looking in a great position with that extra time that he will have. He's going to try and set up probably on the edge of this mountain. Needs to get a nice high position to go for some Storm Surge tags as well if he hasn't been fighting anyone already, as Booga holding him down, someone who's also been dropping Misty Meadows with him, hitting the rotate a little bit earlier. And we're talking about interactions, we're talking about those who's who of names here, and Booga and Stretch going head to head is going to be one of them. 2 players who have a lot of pressure on them to perform in their own right, but also to outperform each other. They were duo mates and they both performed insanely well, but there's always those whispers of who carried who's better. We saw Booga and Stretch going head to head in one of the qualifying weeks where Stretch ended up just coming out on top in the final game, winning it over Booga. But this is a rivalry that I'm super excited to see play out.
That's right. And I mean, it's been about 4 months or so since they've entered as a duo into competition.
Yeah.
But the stigma carries with them as they do still play trios and other team-based game modes. So we'll be interesting to see the clash between those two titans. I mean, we saw Janice and Tayson fight one another over in the Steamy Stacks in EU today. And that was probably the biggest clash of Tayson's career because he took that to the Axe of Champions all the way down the line. P-God, oh my gosh, with the big follow-up onto Vibes. And that's going to be huge for him. His second elimination right now. 93 players left in the game.
Second elimination when there's 93 players left. So P-God has taken down 2 of the 7 players that have fallen in this lobby. So you can't overstate how big that is. If you're more of a casual Fortnite fan, you're tuning in, this might seem a little bit ridiculous. The 2 eliminations is huge at this point. But as you can see in the top left, there's only 7 people that have gone down. These players are the best of the best, and they're avoiding fights. They're playing safe, trying to get into that top area for those placement points. And P-God just feeling comfortable. He's feeling confident, running around as we see Prickly Boy was a fan favorite of yesterday, rocking the cactus skin. I feel like the casters definitely instantly resonated with this player and wanted to cheer him on as well. As Prickly Boy trying to find his way out of this one if he can. He was throwing that big pot ahead of him, but this player was waiting for it, kind of choreographed exactly where he was going to go into this push. So Prickly Boy trying to close it out. Players on top of him. Nice builds, but he drops inside the box. 2 tack shots is not enough, and Justice takes him down. Don't think Justice even needed the shotgun there, and look at that loadout. Justice is looking great.
That's right. Justice read the law and laid it down just like that, showing that he was going to be the one to action the scene right now. And that was well played. He just walks through pure confidence through Prickly Boy, who couldn't seem to find the defense, seem to find the shots that he needed. Here's Sentinel's Aspect on the other side. One of the veterans of the Fortnite community scene for the NA East and a part of the earliest days of Fortnite competition. Now, back on his stride, back on the high horse here as a solo competitor. It almost seems like he came out of nowhere in the recent times, just coming back, showing players that, hey, this vet here still has what it takes to compete on the grand final stage. Ladies and gentlemen at home, this is game number 1. If you are tuning in, we do appreciate it. That's going to be a big down there, though. Aussie, that was Cody.
That was Cody. I have to know who gets that loot because this elimination, while being important, is 1 point. I need to know who gets that mythic loot because that is going to change the game massively. If you're not dropping caddy corners, but you end up with the caddy corner loot, like we saw with Calc yesterday, Calc dropped, I think it was an 8 elimination win or close to it because he got his hands on that caddy loot because he found it in the mid to end game. So whoever has now found that, as I say, Calc goes down to Colazo. So players dropping now as Storm Surge, I believe, is going active and we have 12 people to fall. But if we can get a sight on who exactly has that shockwave launcher, it could play massively into this end game if it's a big name who's been performing and not used to having the added advantage of 2 mythic items.
Take a look at this, though. It's P-God back in another skirmish here. I see 4 different players, 4 individuals stacked up on top of one another off of this rotate here from west to east, trying to get to the safety of the new zone. P-God yesterday did this as well. He was playing off of these non-dead side rotates. I mean, he's just walking directly to the zone and taking battles along the way. We saw that halfway through the competition. It worked against them. We'll see, though, but no, not this time. It doesn't matter. P-God's going to react with the quickness there onto Uzi. Uzi is an up-and-comer as of late. He has been on fire, but P-God shuts that out. He puts the fire out.
Shuts it out quick. That was such a good, quick flick with the charged shotgun, too. That's a hard shot. If you just watched and you missed what happened there, the other player crash padded straight into the back of the box. P-God didn't see the player coming through because the builds were breaking, and then just split-second reaction flicks with the beautiful charged shotgun shot. And P-God's now got 3 eliminations on the board coming into endgame with the peppers as well. So he's got that extra mobility to maybe make that next rotate. And you touched on it just then, Monster. He doesn't really exactly go for the safe rotates. He'll go up against players and back himself in fights just like that. And now he's getting his Storm Surge tags. He's getting his damage on the board as we still have Storm Surge active right now. There is still 1 player getting hit by Storm Surge in this lobby as 71 players are still alive.
I just want to say that is probably the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen a ridiculous shot like that come out of P-God. But here's Skittles finding himself a nice little ridiculous elim onto Avery, who was so lit up on the run from an opponent. And although Skittles may not be able to grab the rewards of Avery's loot there, it's going to be Rubified who's going to scoop that up. It's okay. He's got a nice free point to work with here. Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, 75 players being, or less than 75 players in the lobby now is going to reward the first points. Placement points are divvied out as players go down. And just like that, now Skittle has 2. So this is a nice step in the right direction here. If the EU FNCS Grand Finals was any indicator, though, to how you want to play, how many points you want to average to take home a victory, you're going to need anywhere from 8 to about 10 around on average to be the FNCS champion of the region.
That is such a tall ask. 8 to 10 points every game for 6 games when you're battling now with 99 of the other best players in your region. Just showing these players are a whole nother level. 31 tag, nothing too heavy. That's clicks. NRG clicks falls. Someone who has a lot of pressure on them here today. A lot of expectations going down with 1 placement point on the board. Don't know if he got an elimination. We didn't see him in the feed, but just the unfortunate misplay there of going up against that wall that Justice does own, and he just has to hit that window edit and go straight through. Justice now knowing there's another player behind his other wall, so Justice in a really congested spot, as you're seeing in the bottom right of that mini-map about 6 or 7 players all on top of each other, and Bucky being one of them, so pretty scary spot to be in.
Bucky, one of the scariest players, one of the hottest profiles across all game modes. Doesn't matter where you place him, team-based, squad-based, solo-based, he performs, he shows up. Smack, though, is going to be lighting up the feed right now, find himself his own point. Here's D-Roller. D-Roller, one of those few key individuals that once he gets going, he can definitely start to play off of that momentum. We know him to be a fragger. I want to say during the FNCS Invitationals, he was breaking records on his streak on up to those grand finals as well. So this is a player that lately has been somewhat dormant, but it shows that, hey, when he turns on big, and he doesn't look back. Right now, though, Ozzy, what I'm paying attention to is this zone and how many players are starting to migrate nice and early. This is only becoming more and more stacked. If we bring our focus down to that mini-map, just look at how many players have to cross in.
Yeah, and I was just going to say with D-Roller as well, it's just showing that he can kind of like, he can change the game style as well, though. Obviously, last in their solo invitational, there was a lot of high eliminations being dropped. At this point, we're seeing much more placement split, and it's showing his diversity to be able to play to that and play to the placement points and understanding that most of the players are usually kind of winning this one out with a higher average placement than elimination points overall. We saw some of the regions like Asia have a lot lower point split with a 3-way tie for 47, but then you're looking like regions like my hometown region, OCE, with 70-plus points for first. It's just, you don't know. You need to play to your region. You need to play to your scoring format. You need to play to what is going to give you consistency.
Yeah, it's been very volatile across all the regions. Someone who's on fire, though, it's P-God. My gosh, 3 eliminations already. Whew. We're not even halfway through the lobby. He's owning up to his name right now. Honestly, he has just been on top of everything. This new zone's going to be popping soon, though. We're going to see that half in, half out reveal itself, and he's already being so active. I wonder if he can just make an end game this time around. That is going to be momentous for him.
Would be momentous. He gets an opposite half, though. One of them, the zones you want to get the most. This is the full pull zone right now. So as you can see, that half zone going half in. He takes Renan's, though, but like you said, Monster, he likes to be around the action. He doesn't need to go on the safe side of zone. So this next rotate could be easy for him. He could pick up even more eliminations on the way, as Class is going to get that loot, but P-God is the one who gets the elimination. He needs to make a tough rotate now. He has the launch pad, he has 2 crash pads, but with these trees in the way, and with the way this zone's going, he's going to have to find a clearing to try and get that launch pad off, I imagine, because crash pads, he's probably going to far as P-God, but it's still a pretty difficult zone, as we still haven't even gained our second placement point of today. Top 50 is where these players will get 1 more point on the board. Blake having 1 for top 75. Needs to look back and try and hold some of these players that are using the rotation behind him, and then he's going to have to keep making his way through. Blake has been a dominant player for such a long time now, but hasn't had a big showing in a solos event, so really high expectations, or looking forward to seeing how he can pull this off today. But no medium ammo left in the AR, shotgun only, and a harpoon. He needs to find something pretty quickly.
I'm just looking at the feed right there. I saw Dubs pick up reverse 2K. Kanata's going to fall to hand here as Bucky falls to Blake. And that's 3 major names, major players, absolutely skilled individuals all falling in concession on this rotate here to the half in, half out. This is where things get interesting. This is where Fortnite really starts to shine as a competitive esport. Here it is. It's when things start to get intense and the zone starts to move. Here it is, though. Blake still being so active. The control throws the cone down, and I can't help but imagine that he's going to go ahead and conclude this one as well. The second elimination for him now onto Haji here, and zone's going to pull his way.
Haji, a player who hasn't been so prominent in these games, but did manage to win a game in his heat to jump himself up there and qualify. Unfortunately, falling here at the hands of Blake, who had a great rotate. He was back against the wall. He had no AR ammo, and now he's got 2 huge refreshes in the half-half zone, so he's looking really, really good. Needs to try and kind of find some way to get back in this one a little bit more as he's on the bottom side, but rotating zone is going to go back through the woods, through all that tree cover, so not sure if he's going to be able to find his way back down on the low ground, as illest looking much better with 5 crash pads and 1 launch pad.
Here it is, though. The wide shot giving you guys who's in the game. I see Bully. I see Aspect still alive. Illis still alive as well. And Illis is going to be running right through Pose here, who's on the other side of the wall. He's going to go in and crash pad his way in. That's going to be a major impact frag. Impact elimination for Illis. That's going to recap, refresh his material count as well, as the entire lobby now is looking to scramble across here. But Illis is still firing up. He's going to catch Batch on the movement now as well. Great layer change, though. He's going to move himself up, setting up the teak pad to try and get out here. He's got the crash pad ready to go. He's thinking about it, though, still waiting his time. He doesn't have to do it too early. Not this time around, not until the zone actually pops itself. On high ground, though, Dubs is going to go ahead and lose it to someone launch padding up above. And Ozzy, things are getting super interesting here. P-God is down to 20 HP. He cannot afford to play with the zone, but he's gathering placement points as this Cox keeps ticking.
He's got to make something happen. He knows the player's above him. He's trying to bait him to drop down and go for the shotgun shot. But no, that could be too long. But he waits. It is. He can't break through the full metal in time. Too much damage. He takes 10 ticks from zone, and he falls just outside top 30. A good game from P-God, those 7 points on the board, as we now have some of those players who are going to play for more consistency. I see NRG Ronaldo kind of making his way up a little bit here, making his way very high. Ronaldo trying to take the high ground, or at least get above this elevation, which is a good spot to be in. Asia's stuck down there on the low ground, though. He's going to have to keep playing for it. I want to see who has that shockwave launcher and who can actually really contest height, as Blake making a good push for it too. 23 points on the board. He's now inside that top 25. Those 2 refreshes were everything he needed to get him to this point, but he's gonna need another one soon, as he's down to 5 builds inside the full metal base. So he's in a good spot to try and find a refresh from, but he's gonna have to go soon. If this zone keeps going up, takes down Nanolight. Does take down Nanolight, a very consistent player here in this one. AJ falling in the feed as well, going down to the storm as it pushes everyone up this big mountain.
That harpoon was so clutch to grab him all the materials he needed as well. Here it is. Polarized, though, has that shockwave launch. You wanted to know who had it, and it's him on height. And now he's looking to fight it out for his life, though. On the other side, Illa's still up there as well. And now we have Coop down on the low ground, really tearing it up. 4 eliminations for Coop. Someone's got him backed out against the storm, though. He's got to take the fight. He's going to step in, and yes, he catches another one. That's going to be the 5th elimination now. He's still very much in the game. I'm seeing Ronaldo. I'm seeing Dubs still here. Blake's still alive. Jace fighting his way up the high ground as well.
Is coming down to this. 6 players alive right now. Big names. Who's who of this one? Blake trying to have a big performance here. 4 eliminations already on the board. Going up again. I have to think he has one of the better mat advantages right now. Only 23 builds, but this late in the game, when the zone is about to close out, that is very good as Ronaldo having to skirt the storm. Coop takes down Jaith. Ronaldo must have flop as he does. Can he come back in? Can he make a play? Illest, Dubs. Blake putting the pressure down onto Dubs. He gets the elimination. 4 players left. Blake has the high ground. This could be his game. This could be everything to start off the tournament for Blake. He has all the advantages. It's a 1v1. It's Blake versus Illis. Can Blake close it out? Can he jump up and have the huge game 1 performance? Illis can't get up the hill. He can't get a footing. Blake has all the advantage. Blake has to win this one. Illis down in zone. All Blake has to do is wait this one out and just hold, and he's going to be the game 1 winner of the NA East FNCS Grand Finals. Blake takes it away with 6 eliminations and 20 points on the board.
He did that so textbook as well, just holding that height. He knew he had it once Illa slipped down the mountain. Hats off to Ronaldo, though, who got top 3 as well. What a big, big game for our competitors there coming into game number 1. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be sending it over to the boys at the analyst table to break it all down for us. That was a great game 1 and a great showing for the opening here at the FNCS Grand Finals, NA East.
Aussie Monster D-Face, you guys are the best flight captains in the world. What's going on, guys? It's me, Zeke. We're here with Sundown. We're going to be breaking down some of the action. I got to say, Sundown, the old guard and NA East have all been falling, and it's very interesting specifically that we do see Blake picking up the victory round, because we saw this literally exact thing play out in Europe. You have 2 players walking into that final 1v1 with 5 eliminations. The one person that wins gets that 4-point swing to start the day.
and that ends up pushing him up to a 20-point first game, which if he's able to capitalize on, could be huge. But you talked about some of the old guard falling. However, towards the end there, you still had some of the old guard up as well. Blake's been around for a while. Ronaldo pushing towards the top, and Dubs also making it towards the end with Illis finally falling to Old Man Mountain. So you can see the scoreboard reflecting a little bit of that there. Blake in first right now, Illis in second, Coop in third, Colazzo, Han rounding out fourth and fifth. Hoofishy, Cozy, Skittles, and then Dubs and Ronaldo will be the top 10. But notice everyone 5th through 10th, even on 11 points, but the difference being the eliminations currently rocking out on the tiebreaker.
Absolutely. Now we're going to flip on over to the next page. And again, it's just more of these names. We're so used to seeing Jade, Polarized, Agers, Jack, Aspect, right? Jelty, P-God. I think ultimately, like, this first game, and we saw sort of happen in EU, it's like a general feeler, right? Like, you have 6 games to play. You know you're competing with the 100 best in your region. Now, what happens? Is my drop spot contested? What does my pathing look like? You know, there's so many, all these variables we have to keep in mind, especially as we move throughout these games. I feel like this first one's fine, right? Like, we have some points on the board. That's okay. Now what we have to look forward to is, like, where do these people land? How do they adjust to this new meta that's kind of self-contained to the grand finals? And what they need to do to ensure themselves making it into the top placement, as, I guess, as high up along the placement as possible.
Yeah, and the goal is to be able to convert off of this first game. So we kind of talked about in the intro of the show, what is the pacing of a 6-game tournament? And over the course of it, you really kind of want to get yourself established early, because whoever gets out to that lead is going to start running it. And if you fall before getting that first round of placement points, or even that second round of placement points, it can get really hard to establish yourself into a rhythm and get the game moving.
Absolutely, my man. Here we go. We're going to take a look at some of them. I mean, Calc, you know, he put on a show for us yesterday. He said, look, guys,